The comments heard on The View From A Pew are those of Mckoy and are not necessarily the opinions of his guests, his producer Garth, any one particular denomination or religion, the church lady, Mr. Lemke, Pastor Craig, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now here is today's The View From A Pew, heard all around the world on YouTube. Just search for The View From A Pew.
And thank you, my dear Emily. We appreciate you giving people warnings, about what they may hear on this show. They may not agree with them. It might anger you. We hope not. But we always do want your feedback. And that's easy. That's Mac, M-A-C, like macaroni, at theviewfromapew.com. And that's how you get a hold of me. All right, so we're in the middle of an 8-part package here, and this is number 2. This is show number 2, and I'm speaking with Richard Leiter. Oh, I just said it again, didn't I?
Yeah.
Leiter.
Yeah.
All right, I keep wanting to put an N in there. And Richard is a law professor at the University of Nebraska, and we met because you have a priest that I know, and he introduced us together.
Yep.
And what we're talking about here is his conversion. Is that the right word? From Judaism to Christianity.
It was. I was definitely born again.
Okay.
Came to faith, and we were just getting started talking about that process, how that unfolded.
Yeah, and that's what we want to hear about today.
Yeah.
And you were 28.
Yeah.
When this happened?
Uh-huh.
All right. But you were a good Jewish boy.
Yes.
Family was Jewish.
Yes.
Went to synagogue.
Yes.
And you actually thought about being a rabbi.
Very seriously.
Very seriously.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about discovering Christianity and how Jesus came to you.
So, as I mentioned already, my wife and I before we were married, we decided that we wanted to be Jewish. Wanted to have a Jewish family.
What was she before?
She was sort of a little bit of everything, nondescript, non-denominational.
Okay.
I call them mongrel.
I call them mutts.
Yes.
Because I'm one.
Yes.
I don't care what denomination anybody is. I'm
Right.
just a Jesus freak with an attitude.
I think that she might have been baptized in a Methodist church, but
yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, so she converted to Judaism. So my rabbi that I grew up with in San Jose, Rabbi Gittin, could marry us. And that was an interesting process. I sat with her and went to new members classes as she converted to Judaism. And then we got married. And then it was sometime in that first year that we were married. We were married in December, actually 30th, 1978. So our 48th
anniversary.
Or 45th, 6th anniversary is coming up in a couple of days.
Good.
Anyway, it was that first year after we got married that Bob Dylan became Christian.
Okay.
And so growing up Jewish, Bob Dylan was a hero of mine.
Because he was Jewish.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had a lot of biblical references in his songs
Yeah.
and stuff. But he was just a cultural hero,
Yeah.
Jewish entertainer. Really. Anyway, I was a fan. So growing up, I always questioned. I had always been told that Gentiles claimed that the Bible, Jesus was the Messiah, but they got it all wrong, and Christians don't really, they're all confused about the truth.
Confused. That's good.
So
I've heard of hypocritical, but now I've got confused, so that's good.
So I, over the course of my, growing up, when I was in college, and these were the days when used to hitchhike was a normal form of transportation.
Sure.
And I was going to school in Southern Oregon, and my family lived in the Bay Area. So I hitchhiked all over Northern California. And it seemed like every time I had a a long ride, say from Reading to Ashland, Oregon. Somebody picked me up, and the next thing I know, son, are you a Christian? No. Well, open the glove compartment and pull out the Bible. I was getting witnessed to.
Wow.
All the time.
Wow.
And when I was in college, I would go into the dining hall and sit by myself. Somebody'd come over and sit down. So, you know Jesus, and they'd start witnessing to me.
We're kind of that way, we evangelicals.
Yeah, so it was really annoying to me, but I was a good sport about it, and I loved to debate with these people.
Sure.
Since I knew in quotes that Christians had it wrong about the theology, I would just pepper them with questions. And, you know, every Christian knows that there are some questions that you can't put a definitive answer on.
Yeah, there are many times when I'm talking to an atheist who are my second favorite people.
Yeah.
I just love them.
Yeah.
They're so close.
Yeah.
But yet that leap is just too far away right now.
So one of the questions that I would, so when I got tired of debating people, and I used to love to engage them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was entertaining in
Poke
a way.
the bear.
Yeah. And so when I just decided I'd had enough, I would throw out, well, answer this question. And the only example that I remember was, what about the child that was born in the South Sea Island, never had an opportunity to hear the gospel? Your God is going to condemn them to hell. And people would always go, bleh, bleh, bleh. Nobody had a good, clear answer. And so I developed over the years 4 questions that were, I called them the unanswerable questions.
I love it.
Debate stoppers. And so, so keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Bob Dylan became a Christian, and I was really annoyed that he did. I felt betrayed by him, and I also was annoyed that this Christian, sort of what I had thought was a confused, cult, poor thinking, these people had gotten their hands on Bob Dylan and turned him away from the truth, which was, I don't know what the truth was. From our point of view, just be a good Jew.
Yeah, well, and obviously it's that you don't think Jesus is the Messiah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I decided once and for all, I was going to put this Christian nonsense to rest. And I was actually ignorant enough and naive enough to think that I could do it. That was dumb. So I decided I was going to read the Bible and disprove it, the New Testament, on the terms that are the Old Testament as I knew it.
All right.
So for the first time in my life, I picked up a Bible and I flipped through the New Testament, and I noticed the Gospel of Mark was the shortest. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to take a lot of time.
Yeah, right. You get in and out quick.
Right. So I started with it. Well, first thing that I didn't expect, Mark opens with a quote from Isaiah.
Yes.
Voice of one crying out in the wilderness.
Yep.
And I thought, wait a minute. And
Prepare
I went back and read Isaiah, and, well, what the heck is that doing there? And then Mark is not a very good choice if you were trying to do what I wanted to do.
No, I agree.
Because I call it the dragnet gospel.
Yeah, it's just facts.
The analogy may be lost on some of the younger listeners, but dragnet, it was just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts, yeah.
And it just said Jesus did this, and then he went there, and then he went that. And he some of the things that they recorded him as saying, criticizing the leadership of the synagogue at the time, I agreed with.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, God, what is this? Oh, and Mark has got transliterations of Hebrew and Aramaic. And I knew Hebrew. I actually had lived in Israel for a year or half year after high school, and I studied it in college. So I was so surprised to see Hebrew in the New Testament. So I thought, well, I just picked the wrong gospel to disprove this stuff. So I went to Matthew, and well, that's also not a good choice because it's got a lot of Hebrew and a lot of references to the forefathers, and so, and then his criticisms of the Pharisees and Sadducees, the leadership of the church. I agreed with all of them, the hypocrisy. And what he was preaching was love and helping other people. I mean, all things that I agreed with.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, man, something's weird here. I thought I was supposed to disagree with all this. Another thing that struck me was Jesus also was preaching just to Jews. A couple of times in the gospel, like the story about the Syrophoenician woman comes to him, and he goes, "Be gone, I've come to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." And I remember thinking, wait a minute, this is a Jewish book. Jesus was talking to my people and actually eschewing Gentiles and non-Jews.
Yeah.
Why do Christians believe this stuff? It seemed very almost insulting to the Gentiles. So I was very puzzled. And then, so of course, I read Mark again, then Luke and John, and I had read them in fairly rapid succession at this point over the course of a couple of weeks. And I started noticing the same stories were being told from different perspectives.
Yeah. I always say the four Gospels are kind of like sitting at 120th of Dodge.
Yeah.
And you got one on every corner.
Yeah.
And there's an accident.
Yeah.
And everybody agrees there's a car wreck, but that's the only thing they could agree on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the stories are always different.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to come back with our next podcast here after this. And one of the things I want you to think about for me is I've been told too often that Jewish people were not allowed to read the second half of Isaiah 52 and the 53rd chapter. And I want to talk to you about that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Isaiah guy. I'm probably going to go to heaven and realize somewhere we're related. Because I just love his prophecies. So, all right, I'm with Richard Leiter.
No N.
No N.
Leiter.
Leiter. Oh, like a lighter.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
They used, my high school friends my nickname was Poor Match.
Poor Match.
Rich, lighter.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
He is a professor of law at the University of Nebraska, born and raised in a Jewish household and in the Jewish synagogue. And then when he was about 28 years old, guess who come calling? Jesus. And we're listening to that story today. So I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, Richard. And we are on YouTube as well as our new channel on Roku. And all you have to do is search for The View From A Pew. I want to thank the folks at DivineTruthChristian.com. Anything you need, you can order from them. It'll be shipped directly to you, and you'll talk to a real live person. That's cool, right?
Divine Truth Christian Store, where you'll find more.